finding the right balance for you starts with kind of unlayering the people pleasing that has occurred in your life to fit in, to not be judged, to be okay with who you are.
It doesn't mean that everything has to have the same amount of time and the same amount of effort. It's finding what works for you, for your life, and what's going to allow you to show up the best that you can. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
And it's Emilia.
Welcome to another episode of Evolve Ventures, where we are helping growth-minded humans evolve by breaking one limiting belief at a time. We hope you enjoyed the last episode, number 219, Motivation Monday, a better way to start your Monday. For today, number 220, how to find the right balance for you. I think this concept of finding balance is something that has been thrown around in every which way, and I don't think it's been done with justice. I think so many of our listeners and so many people out there are really struggling to feel in tune with their life because they have so much going on, so many priorities, so many different things that they're trying to do, but they don't know how to give time to all of them. And when they're trying to give 100% of themselves to 75 different things, they feel like really flooded and like there's a current and just like this massive wave flowing over them. I actually was on the phone with a client last week, and she was talking to me about how she has kids and the summers are really hard because now not only is she a working mom who has a full-time job and is trying to work on her own physical health and her relationship with her husband, and now her kids are at home. So not only does she have to do all of the housework and everything already, now her kids are actually home most of the day, and now she has to find a way to entertain them. So we were talking about how do you actually give time when you have 75,000 different priorities and you feel like you're stretched so thin. And this is exactly what we're going to be diving into today, which is finding the right balance for you. And it might not be what you think it is.
Definitely. Being a Libra, someone who was born in October, I have had to, by desire, I don't know so much, but honestly by force as a result of my birth, and the time to which I was welcomed into this world, I have had to contemplate this concept of balance, or this theory of balance, or this perception of balance in the way in which we spend our time, the way in which we navigate the world, in our ideas and how we should prioritize life. And honestly, it's been that thing that keeps rearing its beautiful head. Some would say not so beautiful. And honestly, it is something that can feel impossible to figure out what is the best balance for you. And I'm even trying to self-regulate as I heard the responsibilities of that client's life just pile up. And I think one of the most amazing things that we as human beings don't get celebrated for enough, from my perspective, is just how much we do in a given day. Those of us who really do have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of priorities. And I think celebrating that is number one huge. So when we get into balance, I think a lot of the belief system around balance is that there is a 50-50 kind of perception where I should, I should. And the cognitive biases and distortions that come into the concept of balance in people's lives is very fascinating to study. If you ask someone what's the right balance for you, I doubt someone would be able to have just like that the answer, right? Well, it's 50% time with family and it's 50% working. That's not really the way in which that ends up kind of working out and panning out. And so I think for our listeners, how we can all start the journey to find what feels like the alignment, the integration of what makes the most sense, what is the most meaningful parts of our lives all work together in harmony, in balance to one another and offsetting. I kind of think about the color wheel. So for example, if you could imagine the color wheel, there's certain primary colors that offset each other, but yet because they all coexist, they balance each other out. So it's not a 50-50. There's 3 primary colors. Life is very much like that. If you were to pull away one primary color, it's not a balanced palette. So here's where we start. I really, really, really believe, and a lot of the evidence shows when it comes to the research that I've done, when it comes to the experiences that I've had, the coaching calls, and I'm sure you have statements to say around this. Finding the right balance for you starts with kind of unlayering the people pleasing that has occurred in your life to fit in, to not be judged, to be okay with who you are. Because our concept of self typically ends up being such a, I don't want to say curmudgeon, but like a blend, thinking of all the colors. It's like do you remember art class where you could like blend all the colors together and you're trying to test all the different colors and eventually you just always get brown no matter what you put together?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. We just
me.
Literally, that was me. I was like, why did I get to this brown again? It's like, well, you're just mixing every single color together and like there's, some elements here that you're not acknowledging. So that's kind of what we end up doing. And so learning the right balance for us first starts with understanding what's not ours that we're thinking is balance for us. And a great example of this, Bianca, you and I have mentioned this in a podcast episode before, which I've shifted from shame to guilt. And now like I feel free of it, which was what is important to me is family. But if you were to look at my calendar 3 years ago, and even to this date, well, not true. If you were to look at my calendar, literally 3 years ago, which Bianca and I did, I was struggling. I felt like this woman that you described. I had so many different responsibilities that it's like, you ever see that juggler with like 6 different hands on a unicycle? That's what I felt like, just juggling life. And Bianca goes, we're taking a look at my calendar and saying, all the things, these are all important to you. Yeah. You keep saying family's important to you, but yet like, I don't see a time block for family. And this is the journey that I'm talking about. When it comes to the right journey or the right balance for you, you have to unlayer what wasn't yours to begin with. For me, I convinced myself of a story that in order for my life to have balance, I need to have more family time. And at that time in my life, that was not true for me. That was a conditioned pattern, a conditioned belief, a conditioned paradigm that my shoulds came out in. I should have more family time. If I say I value it, where are my actions supporting it? And the off-balancedness of my life wasn't because I didn't have more family time in my calendar. It was because I wasn't being honest about what was important to me at that time. And I think we all go through a version of that. And we might feel like that juggler on a unicycle, or we might feel like that person in art class where we're just blending all the colors together. And I'm like, why do I keep getting brown? It's because we're not taking a moment to have that accountability with ourselves. What is actually important to us? Who am I? What are my core values that represent what balance will feel like? How will I know that I'm aligned? How do I know that I'm just succumbing to other people's desires of balance, other people's perception of this concept? That's where I believe it starts.
Well said.
Hello, everybody. My name is Derek Smith, and I'm the department head of the Evolve Venture Society page. I just wanted to come on here and talk about my time at Evolve and being a team member. It's been nothing short of phenomenal, and I don't say that as somebody just trying to hype up the team or the business or anything like that. No, it's genuine, and like genuinely, I've never been a part of such a group, had people that were so invested in me, being able to keep me accountable and like pushing and really just supporting me for my own growth. And the amount of things that I've been able to help and influence, manage in myself, learn about, and just being a part of this community, all under the guidance of Bianca and Emilia, for me, that's just been phenomenal. So my time here has just been very, very blessed. So thank you, Emilia. Thank you, Bianca. You guys rock.
I actually had this exact thing happen with another client of mine. She literally, not a single thing in her calendar was for herself. It was her grandmother that she needed to take care of, her other grandmother, then things for her mom, then things for her dad. Then she had to do things for her kids. Then she had to do things for her partner at the time. And I was like, what's making you continue to do all of this? Because none of this is for you, but you keep saying that you have no time and you feel burnt out. And she's like, I feel so guilty that if I don't do these things, they're all going to hate me.
Yeah.
And we had to do exactly what you said, which was really process through all of that and help her find how much time in her week she is willing to allot to helping family. So when you're thinking about finding the right balance for you, you're not going to be able to give equal time to everything. Balance is not that everything has an equal amount of time and effort. Balance is how much time and effort do I need to give to each thing for it to be enough. So, for example, my physical fitness is 90 minutes. My meditation and my inner work is probably about an hour or so. When it comes to Evolve and this organization, that does take a lot more time. I'm intentional about that. When it comes to learning, 30 minutes. I tell myself I have to do at least 30. If it's more than that, awesome, but it needs to be at least 30. So I'm not trying to give every single thing the same amount of time. It's not possible. And it doesn't mean that you have to do these things every single day either. Maybe family time for you looks like once a week, you and your family do like a beautiful Sunday dinner or like a Sunday brunch. And you just make sure that at the end of the day, you know, you spend 15 minutes with your kids or with your partner. Or if you're single, you know, you're adding things into your calendar, to go back to one of the previous episodes that we did, for you to really be there with yourself. It doesn't mean that everything has to have the same amount of time and the same amount of effort. It's finding what works for you, for your life, and what's going to allow you to show up the best that you can. So I would say that that is my final takeaway, and my episode suggestion for this goodie is number 14, your energetic dualism, an early one.
Whoa, that's early. Wow,
An oldie.
That'll be fun. I have in mind a client right now for all of our listeners who, you know, this individual, amazing. I feel so blessed. This individual, they check in our coaching, they check in with themselves. Like, how aligned do they feel in life right now? And it's not just in the day to day, but it's in like, okay, over the last week, over the last couple of weeks, over the last like year, like how aligned do you actually feel? And I find that clients really, when they are asked that question, they really do check in with their inner compass, right? In that, some people call it intuition, some people call it spirit, etc. And oftentimes clients know right away, there's this internal knowing that they feel out of balance. And when that happens, like this client of mine that I have in mind, we start to kind of work through why that is. And it might not be because they're spending X amount of time over here and not over here. What I've also found is that sometimes the effort that's put in over in this arena in my life isn't pouring back into me to the same degree that I need it to, or to the same degree that I expected it to. And that's what can cause us to feel out of balance as well. So it might not just be time. It might be energy or effort that isn't reciprocating back to you that might make you feel out of balance. So the how to this episode, there's so many different ways in which you can approach how to actually find and or attract the right balance for you. And it can start with questions. It can start unlearning what you've learned about this. But either way, getting started, that's where all the glory is. So my final takeaway is checking in on where this perceived concept started in your story, and how can you get 1% closer to really tuning in to that inner compass that can guide you to what feels more holistic, what feels more integrated, what feels more harmonized for you in terms of balance. My final episode suggestion for our listeners that want to continue down this conversation, if you will, is 182. This is why you should be selfish. So important, because I find that a lot of our listeners and a lot of our clients really struggle with people pleasing. And that's where we end up taking on so much responsibility from everyone else that we feel out of whack. We know deep down inside that we would like to go have 90 minutes at the gym for ourselves, but we keep taking on the responsibility of other people instead of asserting boundaries or having healthy communication that asserts, wants, needs, and desires. So that's what I would say.
I want to give a shout out to someone in our community, Mandy. So Mandy today, so this will be a couple of weeks ago when our community is listening to this, but she did a Your Evolve story with me. So she signed up to be interviewed. It's just a casual conversation that we do every single week in our private Facebook group. And on her own accord, Mandy really was celebrating and talking about the coaching that she's been doing with me and the group coaching that she's been doing, and really went on a little bit of a tangent. I was a little blown away by it and just so humbled at how much she attributes the coaching to her life changing and getting better. And it was just such a sweet moment. Like, you could see she was getting really emotional talking about it. So if you're somebody like Mandy, and she talked about this in the video, that she avoided getting therapy for years because she just didn't feel ready or able or honestly even good enough to ask for help. If you're somebody like that, where you need to talk to somebody, that there's things in your life that you want to change, and you're really wanting to take that step, Emilia and I both have open availabilities when it comes to coaching. We have different styles. We do things a little differently. You might jive with me a little better. You might jive with Emilia a little bit better. But we are both accepting new clients, and we really adore the work that we get to do with people, with every single one of you, So if that is something that you're interested in, if you have questions, if it's something you want to try, reach out to Emilia and I, and we would love to help you on your Evolve journey.
We would genuinely, I'll echo that. We would genuinely love and be honored to be a part of your journey. One of the things that I say to my clients, and Bianca and I really, really embody, that I've heard a lot of clients and people that have gone through group coaching programs that have listened, been longtime listeners, is just like, you guys put so much intention and so much care and so much love and so much hope. And you bring tactics, you bring systems, you bring the actual things that create positive, meaningful, challenging, but impactful change in people's worlds. And honestly, everyone's different in terms of how they navigate that. And one of our greatest assets is being able to be and meet you right where you are and help you get to where you want to go. So it is an honor to serve people just like you. And we hope that you feel compelled whenever you're ready to reach out to one of us, and we'll hop on the phone. We'll do a quick free call, see where you're at, see where you want to go, and we'll meet you right there and see how we can help serve you to the best of our ability. That link will be in the show notes whenever you're ready, and we would love to meet you. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and we will definitely see you in the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.